Happy Friday, everyone. I wanted to talk about a few top business news stories that happened this week. First, the DOGE dividend proposed by Elon Musk and my take and opinion on it. Elon Musk said that he's floating around the idea and will bring it up to President Trump about perhaps giving a $5,000 dividend check to Americans with their tax dollars that they're saving from fraud and waste and so on. So far, the DOGE committee, they claim to have saved $55 billion, but the real record is closer to $8 billion of savings. But either way, I don't think this is necessarily a good idea. I'm afraid this will cause more inflation, handing out these checks. Perhaps, I mean, it sounds like a good idea on the surface. Why not give Americans their money back? But I think a better idea would be to give tax cuts to middle class and working class families instead. I think that would be a better way to handle some of the savings that we're uncovering through DOGE. But I think the majority of it should be used to pay down our debt and deficits. That's my opinion on the $5,000 dividend checks. Obviously, we'll see, but I think tax cuts would be a better idea. And I want to talk about Microsoft's new quantum chip, the Maharana 1. This is a huge breakthrough in quantum computing. You know, we learned in school that there's three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. And Microsoft uncovered another state of a matter, a topoconductor, and that'll be used for their quantum processing unit with a topological core for Marijuana 1. This could really speed up artificial intelligence applications and do a lot of complex computing much faster than classical and personal computers. This will enable, material science, physics, all kinds of drug discovery. And this quantum computing in general is my opinion on the next leg of artificial intelligence. So to have a quantum processing unit, which is a quantum chip, that Microsoft really has discovered with this new topoconductor material. This is huge, and this shows that the quantum breakthroughs could happen not only in decades from now, but perhaps for a few years for general applications. This is good, obviously, for Microsoft, Google, smaller quantum computing stocks too, like IonQ and Rigetti. And I think quantum encryption companies to save your data from perhaps quantum hacking, like BTQQF. It's a small company, but I think that kind of company will do well in the upcoming quantum era. And then also XAI with Elon Musk unveiled Grok 3, which is another updated version of their chatbot. And it's pretty incredible. This really goes to show you the reasoning capabilities of AI and the advancements we're seeing. And this is really good news, in my opinion. And there's a lot of, AI could really help, humans reason better. It's a really strong productivity tool. So the Grok 3 capabilities are pretty impressive. On the other hand, we had Palantir had a price drop below $100 the other day because the Department of Defense, Trump announced that he wants the Department of Defense, their budget to be cut by 8%. So people were worried about Palantir because they do artificial intelligence applications for and working with the Defense Department and working a lot with the government. But in my opinion, I think the Palantir price drop, it dropped 10% in one day when this news came out, is an overreaction, just like the DeepSeek and Nvidia's drop. Nvidia's drop was an overreaction to the DeepSeek news. If anything, I think that, the 8% cut in the Department of Defense, it'll be used to buy less tanks and missiles. And the future of AI for defense, the future of defense is artificial intelligence applications and software capabilities that Palantir has and the efficiencies of that. So if anything, I think the Department of Defense will reallocate that money from tanks and missiles to AI software and cyber defense capabilities that Palantir offers. So if anything, I think that more money will be going to Palantir, and I think it'll be good for Palantir's long-term growth story. So I think the sell-off for Palantir was certainly an overreaction, in my opinion. Obviously, we have to see, but I think Palantir has a lot more room to go. Not only does Palantir work a lot with the government, a lot of commercial companies use Palantir software. So I think Palantir's stock drop was an overreaction. Obviously, we had Walmart earnings. The earnings came out decent, but their forecast for the current year came out pretty poor, and that spooked the market yesterday. And they kind of warned about tariffs with Mexico and Canada. If that happened, could dampen Walmart's guidance and forecast for this year. And I think Walmart issued that that lowered forecast and a dire forecast as a warning as a warning for the Trump administration to not impose heavy tariffs. Obviously, we have to see, but that forecast, if that spills over into other retailers, could bode kind of poorly for the consumer staple sector. And, consumer spending is 70% of the economy. So that's something we have to watch. That's why the market dropped yesterday. Partially, the tariffs, we have AAII investor sentiment. It's a survey. It's 47% bearish, and that's the most since November 2023. So, and that's partially due to the uncertainties of the Trump administration with immigration policy and tariffs. So that's something we certainly have to watch. And but I think overall, the tailwinds and the strength of AI and quantum computing, and like I mentioned with Microsoft's new quantum chip and xAI's Grok 3, the productivity gains with that outweigh some of the negatives I see of, tariff talk or reciprocal tariff talk. Obviously, it's a risk and could cause inflation, but I think, the strength and the productivity gains of our economy should be able to withstand that talk. Obviously, we have to see. And then we had some good news for crypto. Bitcoin hit $99,000 a coin this morning, partially due to Coinbase saying that the SEC is going to drop their enforcement case against them. Now that we have a friendlier administration towards crypto, it looks like this administration and the SEC will work more with crypto companies to provide fair and sensible regulation rather than enforcement actions and regulation by enforcement and litigation that happened in our last administration. So that's good news. Coinbase stock did well, and that's why Bitcoin's doing pretty well. And then we also had Saudi Arabia announced just a few days ago, actually almost a week ago, that they're buying hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin into their sovereign wealth fund. Obviously, we're talking about the possibility of creating a sovereign wealth fund in the U.S. and a digital asset strategic stockpile, a digital asset stockpile in the U.S. perhaps. David Sachs, the AI and crypto czar, said, pretty much is investigating that over the next few months to see if that's feasible. But I think Saudi Arabia is really starting global game theory of nation states and countries accumulating Bitcoin. And Saudi Arabia is a country at the forefront of technology. I think the U.S., especially with this administration being pro-crypto and tech, will probably act on, having Bitcoin and some other digital assets in a strategic reserve or digital asset stockpile to get ahead of other nations. Because obviously, the earlier a nation, state, or country does this, the more advantage and the better price appreciation they'll have. So that's good news. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin breaks 100,000 again over the weekend. Obviously, we have to see, but I'm pretty optimistic for the tech and crypto space this year, as well as the economy, because as I've said in previous videos and earlier in this video, the tailwinds of AI and the productivity gains of that outweigh some of the uncertainties of this administration when it comes to immigration and tariff policy. We shall see.